Hi, I'm Jordan from Kettner Creative. In this video, we're going to compare the Yamaha AG06 Audio Mixer against the Yamaha MG10XU Audio Mixer. Now, both of these mixers are from the same company, they're in the same category, but they're two very different mixers with different applications, different technology, different benefits and pros and cons for either device. If you are looking for pricing or specs for either one of these devices, we do have links down in the description below that you can use to check the current up-to-date price from a variety of online retailers. So if you are looking for the best price right now, please check out those links. I do think they're helpful and you should be able to find the best price online using those links. Now, for the purposes of this video, I am plugged in to the Yamaha AG06 and we're already set up and recording, but we're just going to talk about the differences between both of these devices. First of all, let's start with the specs on both devices. So the Yamaha AG06 has phantom power available for only one of its microphone inputs. Only the first channel has 48 volts of phantom power. On the Yamaha MG10XU, there is a 48-volt phantom power button here that applies to all four XLR inputs at the same time. So you click that on, you get phantom power to all four inputs. Now, for USB connectivity on both devices, they're both 24-bit and up to 192K, so very similar USB performance. On the back of either device, there's a USB Type-B cable connector, so you can use that. I use a USB Type-B to USB Type-C to connect to my MacBook when I'm recording with both of these devices. If you are looking for links on the cables for either device, we do have links for those in the description below as well. Now, in terms of preamp performance, this one isn't totally clear. The Yamaha MG10XU, the bigger audio mixer here, has 64 dB of gain and an EIN of -128. The published specs for the Yamaha AG06, they don't specify how much gain is in this preamp, but it has a similar performance in terms of what I don't have to turn the knob the same amount in order to get the same volume. So I would say that it's also 64 dB. They do publish the EIN spec, which is -128 as well. So it has the same noise and I think the same gain, even though they don't publish it. I think it is the same amount of gain. So the preamp quality, I would say, is the same on both devices. Now, both of these audio mixers have a lot of channel editing available on either one of them. The Yamaha AG06 has a digital compression, EQ, and effect mode that is controlled by software when you connect this to your computer. On the Yamaha MG10XU, everything is analog built into the console itself, so compression, 3-band EQ, and reverb are all dialed in on the console. There's no online interface or on-computer interface to interact with those. It's all turning knobs, really tactile feedback, working on the channel EQ, compression, and reverb for your microphone or any other inputs that you're using. In terms of power on both devices, the Yamaha AG06 is bus powered, meaning that it is powered from the USB cable that connects to your computer. If you're using an iPad that cannot power this audio interface, it does have a second USB input on the back, so you can use a battery powered or battery bank or something like that to power this audio interface if you're recording with an iPad. The Yamaha MG10XU has a full external power supply that needs to be plugged into the wall that will power that audio mixer. It doesn't receive any power over the USB input and output. It is 100% for data. The USB connection is 100% for data with the Yamaha MG10XU. Both devices have a power switch. On the Yamaha AG06, there's a power switch on the top. If you do turn it off, just because of how much software is built in, you do need to wait about 10 seconds before turning it back on. Otherwise, your mixer will not perform correctly. The Yamaha MG10XU has a hard switch on the back. There's no internal software or anything like that, so you can flick it on and off without any of the same worries that you have with the Yamaha AG06. Now I'm going to do a quick overview of both devices, and then I'm going to compare which I would use for home recording, live streaming, or live sound. The Yamaha AG06 has two combi jack inputs, so this means that you can plug in an XLR cable or a 1/4-inch cable. In the first input, you can use an XLR cable for your microphone, and the phantom power means that you can supply a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone. Either one will work in the first channel. As you go down, you can set your gain, you can turn on compression and effects, which are controlled by your computer software. You can dial them in very specifically depending on what you're looking for. Then you set your level. On the second input here, it's a little bit different. There's no phantom power, but there is a guitar mode. So you can plug a dynamic microphone in using the XLR if you wish. Or if you're using a 1/4-inch cable, you could do a line level input from a piano or keyboard or a drum machine or something like that. Or you can use an instrument level 1/4-inch input, electric guitar, electric bass, something like that. And then you just click the guitar button, which is basically a high Z input, and sets the impedance appropriately for that input. Now, on this input channel as well, you do have an amp sim. It's not the greatest amp sim in the world, but it does work pretty well in terms of adding some basic distortion and effects for your electric guitar if you want to use that. And then it's the same reverb engine that's available on the first channel if you do want to add reverb or delays or anything like that to the second input channel. Aside from that, you do get a 1/4-inch line level input here, stereo line level input and RCA. And then you can control both of those using the volume knobs there. There is a USB volume if you're using the USB loopback mode, and then there's a headphone jack input for an aux cable. This doesn't have its own volume control. You'd have to set that. Say you're using your phone as an input device, you'd have to set the volume on your phone for this channel. Now back to this 2PC button. This USB section is one of the main reasons that this stands a little bit apart from the Yamaha MG10XU. You have a couple different modes here. You can send dry channel 1, 2, which is what I'm doing right now with my recording. This basically isolates the two channels from each other and sends them so you can multi-track record with your computer. You can also go down to input mix, which will send the whole audio mix to your computer as a single stereo track. And you can use loopback mode, which is the same as the input mix, but it allows you to also grab a USB feed from your computer. So if you're playing a YouTube video or a Spotify playlist, you can bring that into the mixer and then send the whole mix to OBS for a live stream or something like that. Next, on the Yamaha AG06, we have a bunch of output options. You can connect to stereo outputs. These are balanced 1/4-inch outputs. You can connect them to powered speakers for a live event. You can connect to a pair of local studio monitors if you're doing live recording, and you can connect to your headphones. Now for the Yamaha MG10XU, it's a lot bigger. It has a lot more inputs. There's 4 XLR combi jack inputs that you can plug any type of microphone into, whether it's condenser or dynamic. All of them as well you can use for 1/4-inch instrument level or line level inputs. You can set the pad appropriately depending on what you're doing. You set the gain. The first 2 channels do have onboard 1 knob compression. Then there's a 3-band EQ, so you can edit the 10K, the 2.5K, and the 100 Hertz of each microphone input that you're using on this mixer. You do get an effects send, so how much of each channel that you want to run through the effects engine. You can pan it and set your level before it gets mixed out to your computer. Next, we have 3 sets of line level inputs. This is really good if you have a lot of input sources like laptops, even if you have a lot of stereo keyboards, you want to plug your phone into the audio mixer, something like that. Alternatively, for either channel, you can use RCA inputs, or for the last channel here, you can toggle it to turn these inputs off and use an input from the USB from your computer. So you do have a lot more connectivity options on the Yamaha MG10XU. For the output section of the Yamaha MG10XU, you have XLR outputs and balanced 1/4-inch outputs. If you're doing a live mix at a live event, you can use those. You do have left and right monitor outputs for studio monitors as well. And you also have a headphone output in case you're wanting to use headphones when you're recording or live mixing a band, whatever you're doing. There is an effects send here on the Yamaha MG10XU as well. You can use the effects send on this audio mixer if the effects are turned off. You can use it as an aux send for a floor monitor or wedge or something like that if you're doing a small band and they do need monitoring on the stage. The downside is that you do have to leave the effects off because otherwise the floor monitor will get the same mix as what you're sending to the effects engine. Okay, so what do I think about both devices, and when would I recommend one over the other? What would I consider if I was talking to somebody new like you that's looking at both of these devices? Let's start with talking about home studio recording. Now, both of these devices can only multi-track 2 channels at a time. On the Yamaha AG06, you turn on dry channel 1, 2, and then you can multi-track. You can send both of these inputs separately to your computer. On the Yamaha MG10XU, I have a separate video on how to do it, but the short version is you pan one channel to the left, one channel to the right, and then it basically splits up your stereo output, so you trick your computer into multi-track recording 2 different channels. Now, aside from that trick, you can choose to send the whole mix of whatever you're working on to the computer as a flattened mix. You just can't mix independent channels after the fact. You can do the same thing on the Yamaha AG06. Now, if you're multi-track recording with the Yamaha AG06 and you're using this dry channel 1-2, it will ignore all your compression and effects that you're using. It sends the dry version of either channel to your computer. On the Yamaha MG10XU, whatever you do on the console with that panning trick I showed you earlier will get saved into the recording. If you do a low cut on both of your input sources, you can never recover that low cut. So that's one big difference between both of these. That low cut will get recorded and baked into the audio file that you send to your computer. So some people actually do prefer to do some EQ and compression on the capture. I don't recommend it. I like keeping that raw audio all the way through to the recording and then doing it all on the computer. But some people disagree with me on that, and that's totally fine. They have a different workflow, and I can definitely appreciate that. Everybody's mind works a little bit differently. So if that's important to you, then the Yamaha MG10XU should be your mixer of choice, because with the Yamaha AG06, it sends the dry channel only. So that's one distinct difference. Now for me, I recommend the Yamaha AG06 just because it's smaller. It has the same quality as far as I'm concerned. I can't prove how much gain this preamp provides because it's not published by Yamaha. But for me, they function very similarly, both of them. I can record with my iPad a little bit easier when I'm out on the go. I don't need a plug-in power source like I do with the Yamaha MG10. It's smaller, takes up less room on my desk, and it works just as well, in my opinion, for live recording. Next, let's talk about live streaming. Again, when it comes down to live streaming, we can make some assumptions here. One microphone. You might have some sort of sound effect device plugged into your audio mixer. You might have a laptop plugged into your audio mixer. So both of these devices will work really well for you. The Yamaha AG06 does have this loopback mode, which is pretty cool. But on the Yamaha MG10XU, you can accomplish the same thing by turning on the USB input from here and running it through the mixer. So you can achieve very similar results. For me, I would recommend the Yamaha AG06. I think the compression and the EQ and the effects are a lot more detailed. You get more control. It takes up a smaller footprint. It's a lot easier, more simple to operate, but you do lose that tactile feedback. Sometimes I do prefer the Yamaha MG10 for live streaming because you get the ability to make quick changes. Sometimes your window's up and you don't want to interact with software on your computer. And in that case, it's easier to turn the one knob compression or do a low cut or something like that really quick with one hand without having to alt-tab a window on your computer. So it is something to keep in mind. For me, I do still prefer the Yamaha AG06. The smaller footprint, the cleaner interface, and the fact that I can really dial in the compression more precisely than a one knob compressor works for me, and I do prefer that. Now for live sound, I do recommend the Yamaha MG10XU over the Yamaha AG06. It has a lot more inputs, obviously. For when you're dealing with live sound, it doesn't matter what they tell you on the phone before your event. They can tell you that they're only using 2 microphone inputs, but when you get there, chances are they're going to always require more. So for live events, I always choose the biggest option available to me. So if you're going to do some home recording, some live streaming, but you also want to do live events, I would recommend getting the Yamaha MG10XU. The XLR outputs that you don't have to convert from 1/4 inch like you do with the Yamaha AG06 are really handy. Plus, you do just have more outputs on the Yamaha MG10XU. I can't tell you how many times I've been working at a wedding or a corporate event or a press conference, something like that, and your XLR outputs are going to the speakers, you have your headphones already working, and then somebody comes up to you with an audio recorder. You can plug those into the 1/4 inch stereo output at the same time as you have your PA running off your XLR outputs. You can get them a clean feed from your mixer, and it works really well. That extra output flexibility, much like having the extra inputs on your audio mixer, are something that you really need when you're at an event, because oftentimes when you're at an event, you don't have the option to go switch out gear or be more flexible like you do in your home studio. You have to make it work, and you have to make it work right away. So I will always choose the bigger audio console or audio mixer for a live event when given the choice. Plus, having the one knob compression and the EQ not be software based on another device, and you can dial it in really quick, is really helpful when you're doing a band or something. If you had a digital mixer here where it was all built on the console, it wasn't reliant on another piece of hardware, that's a different argument altogether. But comparing these two, I would much prefer to work on the Yamaha MG10XU at a live event. It's faster, it's easier, it has more inputs, more outputs. I just think it's a better fit for live events. So overall, comparing both of these devices, the Yamaha AG06 I think is better for home studio recording and live streaming. You don't need more features than what is included with it. I like the small format. I like the ease of use. I think everything built into it really lends itself to the home studio. The Yamaha MG10XU can do all of that as well. For me, it's just a bit bigger. It's larger on the desk. You don't need all the features and the space that this thing occupies. But if you do plan on doing live events, then it's a no-brainer. The Yamaha MG10XU is a much better fit for you. I hope this video is helpful. Again, if you're looking for pricing or specs on either one of these devices, we do have links down in the description below to help you find the best price possible. And if you have any questions of something that wasn't covered in this video, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to find the answer for you. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.